Neurofeedback is the catchy yet misleading name for the computer-assisted brain training that addresses neurological and mental health challenges by improving basic brain functions. Hi, I'm Martin from Body, Mind and Brain. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of neurofeedback and how it works. To make this even more entertaining, I will ask you a few simple questions which you should be able to answer easily. Get ready? Here we go. Question number 1. Everything humans think, feel or do is the expression of electrical activity in our heart, or our muscles, or our brain. Okay, you've got the first one right. Number 2. Functional brain disorders like anxiety, depression, PTSD, headaches, etc. are directly caused by airborne viruses, parasites in the gut, chemical imbalance in the brain, or faulty brain activity. 2 out of 2. Not bad. Number 3. When we identify faulty brain activity, we can conclude that the person is of questionable character, or that the brain is lazy, or that the brain lacks a particular skill. Let me show you. The recording of electrical brain activity is called EEG, which stands for electroencephalography. This is a normal EEG from a healthy brain, small and uneventful. In contrast, this is an EEG recording of one of our clients. At the time, he had a serious psychiatric disorder. Everybody with normal vision can see that the client's EEG is abnormal and that his brain lacks the skill to stop this bad electrical behavior. But how can the brain learn to stop this faulty pattern and thereby get rid of the respective problem? And learn this corrective skill from scratch? Let's find out. Question 4. How do human brains learn a new skill from scratch? Let's think of toddlers trying to learn to walk. Do toddlers read an instruction manual? Or do toddlers attend a walking school? Or do they just try and fail, try again and fail a bit less, and after a lot of practice their brain figures it out? Well, that's how learning from scratch works. But there are certain preconditions. Question number 5.
This is Oliver. He loves computer games and golf, but his mum wants him to learn to play the piano. Oliver attends expensive piano lessons, but he shows little interest and never practices at home.
What are the chances that Oliver will play Beethoven anytime soon? Very high? Or 0, no chance? Right. What's missing in Oliver's case is the first precondition for learning a new skill: motivation. But motivation alone is not enough. Question number 6.
Imagine Oliver is very motivated to practice his golf skills, but his mum won't let him. At night he sneaks out of the house and rides his bike to the golf club's putting green. And although it's pitch dark, Oliver practices putting, even though he can't see the hole, the flag and barely the ball.
What are the chances that Oliver becomes the champion of the US Challengers Masters Golf Tournament anytime soon? Very high? Or 0, no chance? If the brain doesn't receive visual feedback about Oliver's attempts to sink the ball, it can't learn to get better at putting. That was easy. Next question. What's her problem? She's from Finland and doesn't speak English. Or she's deaf and her brain never received the auditory feedback that is so critical for learning to speak.
Because the brain needs feedback about success and failure in order to learn and improve a skill. Every toddler understands that.
We've now established that any learning requires motivation as well as feedback about success and failure. But before we can put all this together and apply it to the therapy of functional brain disorders, we need to add a third component, a tool or interface. Let me show you.
There is this deaf lady who is not from Finland. Her brain has learned to speak with her hands. And because we haven't, we need to read the subtitles. In Oliver's case, the brain uses his arms and a golf club as a tool to move the ball towards the hole. This lady's brain learned to use her mouth to paint. And this woman's brain uses her legs and feet for typing, writing, and using scissors.
When technology is involved, tech nerds don't call it a tool, they call it an interface. A mouse is a computer interface. Here's a different computer interface, a mouse pad that allows paralyzed people to use their tongue instead of their hands to interface with the computer. My point is that brains can use different tools or interfaces to exert an effect on the outside world, if there are motivation and feedback allowing for learning. How can we use that for the therapy of functional brain disorders? Well, we connect the client to a brain-computer interface, for example an EEG amplifier and a PC, and then show them something they're motivated to watch. For kids, that may be some sort of game or animation.
It's about the only girl in our village.
And for adults, we pick an interesting video. Whenever the brain misbehaves more, the computer applies some negative feedback on the screen, like black dots on videos, which is less enjoyable, thereby signaling failure to the brain. When the brain behaves better, which is success, the picture is clear, thereby rewarding the brain for good electrical behavior. Over time, the brain figures it out. It learns and gets better and better at curbing the faulty activity. Because that's what brains do, with motivation and precise feedback. Got it? Last question. What is the best way to permanently resolve functional brain disorders like anxiety, depression, PTSD, and so on? Prescription medication? Or magnetic stimulation? Or neurofeedback, which uses a brain-computer interface to help the brain to master its challenges and become a champion of neurological and mental health?
So, if your brain is giving you grief and you're keen to get better, neurotherapy and neurofeedback brain training is your best bet. And for that, I wholeheartedly recommend Body, Mind and Brain Neurotherapy Practice Gold Coast. They are ace, top-notch, next level.
I hope you've learned something and enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.